Well, this is Baruch Fleischman. I am your reader here at the Deepland Elevator Call Out. I call myself the lift manager. And what's going on here is we're getting into a new topic, Jewish astrology, the cosmic science. This book was written by a man by the name of Yaakov Kronenberg, and I had the pleasure of learning with him a few years, not astrology so much, we learned Kabbalah. So, and some difficult Kabbalah because he knew some different places that you really need to look at. And gosh, it was exciting. Once I'm moving along over here, though, I always kept begging him to give me information on astrology because he's an astrologer. This book is available on Amazon, and Reb Yaakov Cronenberg is available on the internet. It's got a lot of things that are not so new, but he goes back and you can get some idea of what he can do and how he understands birth charts and much more. So let's go over here and let's see that what we're talking about. He says here is the Jewish astrology and cosmic science. So that's the title of the book. Now, where am I going to? Astrology according to Jewish law. Now, he had brought up a particular person, this Rabbi Avraham Bar Chia. He lived in Spain in the 1000s, 1100s. That's going back into that era, a time of great scholarship in the what I would call the hidden arts, that is the Kabbalah. He was a tremendous teacher and posek. Now over here, let me go over here. We went through a little bit, and he wants to. The question is whether or not this is something that's Jewish. I guess that's what you would say. It's something Jewish and something Gentile. There's a lot to be said about it. Let me get this kind of lined up. And it says like this. He wants to quote Rabbi Avraham Bar Chia. Rabbi Avraham Bar Chia says like this. It is written, turn away from evil and do good in your business dealings and in the works of your hand. Seek peace and run after it in your interpersonal relationships. So he says another explanation. Turn away from evil and do good. If your desires turn to that which wisdom and understand consider undesirable, turn away from evil desire and accept the advice of good wisdom. Now, of course, that all makes very good sense. So what we want to see here is exactly what's special about this. He says, with respect to the phrase seek peace and run after it, if you see your friend receiving improper advice, seek peace and run after it, and warn him as if you were seeking and running after the peace of your own soul. Now, this is the example that he gives, and it is our introduction to the understanding of the rabbis in terms of astrology. An example of this is if you are preparing to go on a journey, and a wise man, one of your friends, that is a person who's befriended you, but we're talking about a man who understands the cycles of the heavens, says don't start that journey at that hour because it is dangerous, whether because it is an even hour, or the hour of Saturn, or the hour of Mars, or he will say to you, don't start out on this day because the planets are unfavorable for our journey. Be concerned with what he says and don't start out on the journey. Now here he's saying, he's pulling this aside and saying this is a man who understands the sequence of the stars and the planets and what is going on in your life at any particular moment. So when we're born, we are on a track like a circle, and those circles all have identifying marks. So therefore, a person who is really wise can understand a great deal. Now, I'm going to skip around in this book a little bit because there's so much in it. What he mentioned over here is the concept of even and odd, the concept of different kinds of days, the concept when a planet is rising or not. So, for example, Saturn. Saturn, this is a time of year of Saturn. If you're listening to this year right now, this is wintertime. Wintertime in January, well, I guess you would say the end of December. There used to be a Roman holiday called Saturnian because of the darkness. So you see that Hanukkah, which is the festival of light, takes place during a period when Saturn is dominant. And the same thing is true of the next month, which is the also a Saturnian month. So we have this darkness, which is an important time, and it also is representative of a force of energy that is sent down to us from Hashem into this world. Now let me come over here and just pick up few more ideas from Rabbi Yaakov Kronenbery. He says right here, basic astrology is based on each person's birth chart. So you have to know that the moment that you were born, and maybe he's going to explain, which is erected at the time that the person is born. Now what he's saying is that we don't think about this very much, but the earth is turning. And when you are born, you're in a particular point in the turn of the earth. But not only is the earth turning, but the moon is also turning. Not only is the moon turning, but what we call in Hebrew is called the Sheva Kochve Lechet, the planets that orbit the sun, as the sun also is moving through the galaxies. So basic astrology is based on each person's birth chart, which is erected at the time he is born. When a person is born, there is a sign at the eastern horizon. Look back towards where the sun comes up, and all planets are in different places in the zodiac because the planets are moving around the sun. The sun is moving through the heavens, and they are all moving, or to a certain extent, the planets are all moving in conjunction, in tandem with us. And we look at the planets' positions at that time and how they related to the sign of the eastern horizon. So let's say, for example, I'll take myself. This is also true of Yaakov Kronenbery. I'm either, at the time that I was born, it was in between Capricorn and Aquarius. Rabbi Yaakov is a Capricorn. So these are the signs that really make astrologers and Kabbalists, because of the darkness and seeking the light. That's really what's going on here. But that's just a side note. The time, related to the sign, whatever the sign is in the eastern horizon at the moment that you are born. From that, we construct the chart. So once we know the position of the planets, the position of the earth at the moment and the place where you are born, which tells you a lot about the person if you know how to do this. This is standard astrology, which is Western astrology. And according to many more commentators, this is also Jewish astrology. So he says the Arizal and others talk about this, but that's where he wants to end this particular little sentence. Let's just see if we have just one more sentence, one more little bit down here at the bottom. We'll skip down to the bottom because that whole piece there was very interesting, but maybe we'll get back to it tomorrow. He said in standard astrology today, you look where everything is in the sky when you were born. And if you want to know what is going to happen to you today, right, you relate them to where the planets are today. Now, he has a concept here he hasn't said it yet, but it's your birth chart. And there's a concept here of the chart of Adam Arisha. When the world was created, it was created with Aries as the first house. Oh, we'll get to that. That's something that later on we'll get to that. So let's go. You relate them to where the planets are today compared to where they were when you were born. This is the basic tool of astrologers, and that way you can figure out what you plan to do today, or whether it will go well or not. Now, I must make a disclaimer right away. This is not the way that I conduct myself, but this is the way that we understand astrology. The rabbi said that the astrologers see, but they don't necessarily know what they're seeing. In other words, they can see that Saturn is coming up and there's going to be a problem for you, but they don't know what the problem is. They could see that Jupiter is coming up, and it's going to be a very successful position for you. These are all different kinds of things we have to understand. And what is it? That Hashem Yisbarach is shining through these fixed times. And he's going to get into something very, very, very interesting as we go forward. This is Baruch Fleischman. We're at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, listening to Yaakov Kronenbery, his book, Jewish Astrology, The Cosmic Science.